Hey there, Trailblazers, I hope you guys are all doing well. So today, I once again have some new pieces of information to share with you guys related to the new upcoming characters and content coming to Honkai Star Rail in the upcoming updates. This includes rumors related to CYRENE potentially getting a character skin alongside her release in version 3.7, and also the new updated kit changes to both the upcoming EVERNIGHT and Dan-Hung Paramansur for patch 3.6. But first, let me ask you an interesting question. So, do you want to pull for the new upcoming characters, but you find in-game prices too expensive? Well, you're in luck. LD Shop GG provides you with a big 35% discount on every top-up compared to the in-game prices. LD Shop includes support for all the big mobile games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, PUBG Mobile, and Mobile Legends. Let's try to buy an express pass from LD Shop for $4.08. which costs about $5 in-game for comparison. Just enter your server and UID and your purchase should be sent straight to your in-game account. After just waiting a couple of minutes, I received my Express Pass top-up. Additionally, users that spend a total of $80 in a single month will now be able to claim a monthly pass of their choice free of charge on the homepage. And if you use my coupon code from the link in the description and pinned comment, you'll get another 15% off on top of all of the other discounts. Before we begin, let me just give you guys a quick little disclaimer that all of the information presented in this video is taken from various different sources and can be subject to change at any point in time. With all of that out of the way, let's now begin without wasting any more of your precious time. Okay, let's first start off by talking about the info related to the new CYRENE skin. So, according to a new post from a pretty reliable source with a decent track record, who stated that CYRENE will be getting a premium character skin alongside her release in version 3.7. This skin is said to be a maid outfit similar to the maid skin her original counterpart Alicia got in Honkai Impact 3rd, as the skin itself is said to consist of a shoulderless maid dress with a long apron on the bottom half, ankle-long gloves, thigh-high stockings, and a maid headpiece. However, unlike the traditional black and white-colored maid skin that Alicia got in Honkai Impact, this new maid skin for CYRENE is said to be in a pink and white color scheme in order to stay true to the color scheme of the character's original design. Moreover, the source also then went on to state that this skin will be our first premium 5-star skin in the game with new in-game effects and animations for the character. This includes new visual effects during combat, new idle animations, and even new in-game dialogue. Honestly, CYRENE getting a skin right out the gate with her release would actually be not all that surprising if it turns out to be true, considering that her expected banner sales are rumored to be the highest among all of the version 3 characters with S-rank sales expectations. So it wouldn't be surprising if Hoyo uses her as a testing base to gauge the sales impact of releasing a skin for a character alongside their debut banner, which, if successful, can potentially lead to future characters getting skins alongside their respective release banners as well. So that's basically all of the current info that we got on the new CYRENE skin. Moving on, let's now talk about the recent kit changes for the upcoming 3.6 characters. First, let's start with the changes for EVERNIGHT, starting with the changes to her talent and Memo Sprite talents, where the max HP scaling of EVERNIGHT's Memo Sprite, Evie, has been nerfed in half from scaling off of 100% of EVERNIGHT's max HP to now only 50% of her max HP. And summoning Evie no longer restores 20% max HP to EVERNIGHT. Additionally, if Evie disappears, EVERNIGHT gets a 10% speed buff. And if the disappearance is caused by the Memo Sprite skill Dissolving Dream, for each point of Memoria consumed by the attack, EVERNIGHT's speed additionally increases by 1%. This buff cannot be stacked and is removed at the start of EVERNIGHT's next turn. So, just to give a quick TLDR, EVERNIGHT's Memo Sprite is now a lot less tanky and no longer heals 20% of her max HP upon summoning. Additionally, it also now gives her a 10% speed buff when it disappears, with an additional 1% speed increase for every stack of Memoria consumed by EVERNIGHT's Memo Sprite skill. Next is EVERNIGHT's skill and Memo Sprite skill. Her Memo Sprite skill, called Remembrance Whirling Like Rain, has been buffed to deal 50% ice damage to one enemy instead of only 20%. And the additional ice damage from the attack has also been buffed from 4% to now 10% of EVERNIGHT's max HP. As for EVERNIGHT's regular skill, it now only consumes 10% of her max HP instead of 12%. And the team-wide crit damage buff that it grants to all ally memo sprites has now been increased from 40% to 60%. So basically, EVERNIGHT's memo sprite skill now deals increased ice damage. And her regular skill now drains less of her max HP to use, while also granting a bigger crit damage buff to all ally memo sprites. Moving on to the ultimate and technique. The ultimate now deals increased ice damage from 120% to now 200% of Evie's max HP to all enemies. And the increased damage received by enemies has now been buffed from 20% to now 24%. While the technique has been slightly nerfed to now grant only 1 point of Memoria upon entering battle rather than 2 points of Memoria. And finally, there are the changes to EVERNIGHT's 3 major traces. Trace 1 has been buffed to increase both EVERNIGHT and Evie's crit rate from 30% to 35%. Trace 2 now grants an increased 70 energy to EVERNIGHT at the start of the battle compared to only 60 energy. However, it also now only grants 1 Memoria stack at the start of the fight from 2 Memoria stacks. And the crit damage buff granted by EVERNIGHT's 3rd trace if there are 3 or 4 remembrance units in the party has now been increased to 50% or 65% respectively. So that's pretty much all of the new changes done to EVERNIGHT's kit. Next up are the changes done to HENG Terrai's kit, who has sadly received quite a lot of nerfs in this new beta update. Starting off with the nerfs to his sustain utility, where the multiplier for the team-wide shield granted by all 3 of HENG's abilities has been heavily nerfed. The shield from the skill has been nerfed from 30% plus 400 of the user's attack to 20% plus 320 of their attack. The shield from the ultimate has been nerfed from 30% plus 400 of the user's attack to 10% plus 160 of the user's attack. And the shield from the talent has been nerfed from 15% plus 200 of the user's attack to 10% plus 160 of their attack. This is quite a big nerf to HENG's shield values across the board. And even with the changes done to his relic set, which now gives shield strength and crit damage, this still ends up being quite a sizable nerf to his sustain utility. But that's not all. HENG's synergy with many existing teams in the game has also been gutted. And if you don't know what I am talking about, basically HENG had a unique mechanic with his summon where the follow-up attack launched by the summon was actually considered the attack of the ally tagged by HENG's skill as a bound mate rather than HENG's own attack. This allowed the follow-up attack from the dragon to trigger certain character abilities, such as granting debt collector stacks to Jade, applying Anax's defense vulnerability, and various other cool synergies. This is, however, no longer possible as the follow-up attack from the dragon has now been changed to count as HENG's own attack rather than the bound mate ally's attack. Which is honestly pretty disappointing as not only does HENG have less sustain compared to before due to his now significantly reduced shield multipliers, but also works in a lot less teams as well due to this new change to his summon. Now, for all of these huge nerfs, the only compensation buff that he got in return was some small buffs to his personal damage, which is not even that good anymore as the dragon now inherits HENG's stats rather than stats of the tag-bound mate such as your DPS for example, meaning it'll now do significantly less damage compared to before as HENG is mainly built for sustain rather than for doing damage. So these are basically all of the new changes done to the kit for HENG Terrai. And that's pretty much all of the current information that I have for this video. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel in order to stay up to date with all the latest HSR news and information. That's it for now, so I'll be seeing you in the next video.